Say China, for the last 100 years, they've only had one thing and one thing only, and their problem has always been 1.4 billion people. With us, it's not unusual for any president to stand up on the State of the Nation address and rattle 35 priorities. In business, we know when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority.
Morning guys, good morning once again. Welcome to South Africa Lately, a channel that discusses South African trending news. We do, however, grab here and there from international news when it is trending enough to be brought here. Please do understand that I'm not a politician. I do not have deep knowledge in politics. However, I am a South African citizen who's also a voter, and I do believe that my views count when it comes to political affairs of our beautiful country. You know what Bonang Mohale has been saying there, which I'm about to share with you. I'm not going to be talking for long, because the thing that even forces us to talk before you watch any video or to include commenting before you see any video is because of YouTube guidelines. If it were according to me, I would just upload and get you watching just like that. So please do bear with me, because I've noticed that sometimes there will be people here and they're saying, no, just allow the video to play, don't be talking. No, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. YouTube has got guidelines. Now, Bonang Mohale said very important things. They said China is being always worried about 1.4 billion people. That means the people of China are a priority in China. To be honest, in South Africa, we feel like that is the general feeling of South Africans, right? We feel like that we are no longer prioritized. Even when I say prioritized, we are no longer even considered in things that are a priority. Like Bonang Mohale said jobs. And we have been made to think that jobs are not that important. We must look at grand. I'm talking about the actions and the overall attitude of our leaders and the government, and the political party that is even leading the government is also not doing much on that. Truth be told, I want to make you an example, right? The way things are in South Africa, the way South Africans have been pushed out of employment. And this narrative as well that South Africans are lazy. We don't know where this thing came from, because, guys, I don't know where this thing came from. I really don't know. This narrative that South Africans are lazy cannot work. So it is justifiable to prefer foreign nationals, especially illegal immigrants, to work in South Africa and be exploited, because that's what it is. Even the foreign nationals, let me talk about illegal immigrants. They are being exploited because they are taking the money that South Africans wouldn't take. And let me tell you something. There are South Africans who would take that money because we are also desperate. Now, I want to go back to the way the ANC has been governing this country. They have created a nation of dependency where young people are dependent. I still remember this 350, I think it's COVID support grant, wara. I saw some people and they were laughing on Facebook. The people who were receiving that money saying, I cannot wait for imali yami yesicaki ukuthi ingene. Meaning, I cannot wait for my money that comes from just sitting in the sun and just be chilling and the money would come in. They made it a joke. So we are a nation that raised even white children at a very minimal salary, but wages rather. So now today, that nation, even the generation of today, comes from that kind of background. Now, also, before you could cook, you were supposed to carry your own wood in your head. And the children grew up in that environment. They know that we work hard in South Africa. When did that start, that South Africans are lazy? So now I'm trying to put you to the picture that this narrative is not true. And our leaders, what they did, they've replaced the South Africans with illegal immigrants, most importantly. And recently we've seen that even in institutions of higher education, they are foreign nationals who've been employed illegally. So you've got this generation of South Africans that go to school with blood, sweat and tears. At the end of the day, they are being replaced by the people that are not supposed to be there. Going back to what the ANC has done, you don't hear them prioritizing South Africans to a greater future. They talk about this gibberish, we'll create unemployment, we'll do that, yet everything is just allowed. I am not a hater of foreign nationals. Gosh, please. I have friends and families who come from there. What I'm saying is everything has to be done orderly. We are not new in employing foreign nationals. And we have had illegal immigrants from way back, but not to this to the level where we see today. Whew. When I talk about the leadership, we have nowhere to go. Even the opposition parties favor illegal immigrants for work than South Africans. I'm saying so because they are not firm. We have Julius Malema who's openly for that, like favoring illegal immigration into South Africa, right? See? And also what I've noticed yesterday when they were interviewing Floyd, they asked Floyd a simple question. Are you ready to build a party that prioritizes South Africans? He just maneuvered his way around that question, didn't answer that. At the end of the day, we were left with a man that is not going to prioritize South Africans, according to if that answer he gave is anything to go by. So imagine China having to deal with 1.4 billion people and they are prioritizing them. What is wrong with South Africa? South Africans are feeling like orphans in South Africa. Do you get that? And we've got nowhere to go. We've got nowhere to go. Anyway, guys, I told you that I'm not going to be talking much, but I just want you to listen to Bonang Mohale. And when you're done, I'm going to share, if you're interested to see more of of that interview by SIZWE MPUFU, I'm going to share the link to these videos that you saw in my description box. So I'm not going to be coming back with more commentary because I've already said a lot. So, okay, guys, thank you for watching my videos. If you watched to this far, and the next time you bump into my videos, kindly watch my ads in full, as that support really goes a long way. And to those who are already watching my ads in full, and enkosini kakhulu, guys, ndiyabulela ningatenwa nangomso, nibe nemini emnandi kakhulu.
Say China, for the last 100 years, they've only had one thing and one thing only. And their problem has always been 1.4 billion people. With us, it's not unusual for any president to stand up on the State of the Nation address and rattle 35 priorities. In business, we know when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. Today, we know, as people who have gone to school, who have worked very hard, that our problem is only one. It's not a triple challenge problem, it's jobs. Because it's the stubbornly high levels of unemployment that lead to increasing levels of poverty and increasing levels of inequality. If we give people an opportunity to regain their self-worth and their self-respect and they have jobs, we have solved all our problems.
How do you think we go about trying to tackle the jobs crisis we have? I mean, you have served in many job creating entities. What do you think we're not getting right, or what should we be doing to take us into a new trajectory on unemployment?
I think let's call it what it is. The people who call themselves our leaders have succumbed to greed, not to saving their people. Because of greed, they've succumbed to state capture. Because of state capture, bribery, stealing and cheating. And because of that, they've forgotten that you have to love your people to lead them. We fought, we went to war, people died, families were exterminated. In the frontline states, Apache helicopters would fly in the middle of the night to bomb a few households for two things and two things only. One, to improve the quality of lives of the majority of our people, to give a better life for all, not just for elected officials. But today, when you look at what we've become, in fact, we have condemned our people into absolute poverty. We inherited no more than 2 million people on social security. Today, we stand on the podiums and announce that we now have 28 million people on social security, and we want to wear it like a badge of honor, when our job was to give them jobs, not to condemn them to 350 social relief of distress grant. Imagine for a moment, had we stuck to the original ideals and we said to ourselves, what we want is no more than 5 things. Number 1 is transformation, so that this economy looks like us.
Sure, absolutely.
Number 2 is ethical leadership, because ethics is what you do when nobody's watching. Number 3 it's about good governance, because good governance has checks and balances to make sure that you don't steal from the mouths of the babies, the sick and the dying, which is what we did during COVID. The penultimate one is service delivery, because that's the job description of anybody who chooses to be a public servant. Lastly, law and order, safety and security, because without law and order, safety and security, who are we and what are we? These are just 5 simple things that if we were to put those on the table, you will have a proper government of national unity, not just a coalition with the Democratic Alliance. If you put that on the table, the people that went to struggle, they will say, this is why we created the ANC in 1912. That's why we went on the 27th of June, 1955 in Cape Town, and we created the Freedom Charter with 10 principles. And principle number 8 says, the people that work the land shall own it. And the last one says, the doors of learning shall be open to all. We still have not reached those ideals. And our constitution today is the best in the world, not because of what's contained in the main body of the constitution, because of that one page which we call the preamble. Starts with the word, with the people, not the politicians. It says, recognizing our past injustices. And then it goes on to enjoin the 65 million South Africans, and both implores and mandate every single solitary one of us to solve these past injustices. It says it's the best in the world because it rests on only 3 principles, even I remember them. The one is called constitutional democracy. The second is social justice. The third is fundamental human right. That even our national anthem, it's a masterpiece in reconciliation. It ends with a line that says, in South Africa, our land, knowing fully well that at the best, it's aspirational. Because to 90% of the population, that is only aspirational. Because up until today, this 90% have been squashed into the most barren 13% of the land that the National Party was very thoughtful, intentional and deliberate in making sure that they don't have another royal Bafokeng scenario. Secondly, we inherited a technically bankrupt country. In 5 glorious years, we had increased the GDP of this country 4-fold. Thirdly, we built institutions that didn't even exist, even though the first 400 MPs were not experienced. At least 4 of them were younger than 30 years of age, including Maria Ramos, Geraldine Fraser Muleketi, Tito Mboweni at that time, in their 30s. Went on to do some amazing, wonderful, good things. And one of our proudest moments is to take the Department of Expenditure and Excise and Customs and create it into a single entity called the South African Revenue Service. And we made it into the number 3 out of the top 5 best revenue agencies in the world. And by so doing, it gave us space to stand up and walk tall. When you gave your passport, wherever you went, you were told to say, I'm a South African. I remember I went to Nigeria for the first time, and my visa was not quite in order. When they looked at my passport and they said, oh, Mandela, Bafana Bafana, and they picked up the stamp and they stamped.
Wow.
That was our passport. And that credibility to go to multilateral institutions, the World Bank, the IMF, the United Nations, and the rest of the African contingent would then say, the South Africans are here. We had that for almost the first 15 years of our democracy. We ended up by seamless handover of power from Mandela to Thabo Mbeki at the time that it wasn't common in the world.
Absolutely.
And we did that not just seamlessly, but we did that by giving ourselves a step change. And Mbeki at that time gave us 43 consecutive quarters of positive GDP growth. The last one, I think, was 5.1% GDP in October of 2007. Since then, for the last 15 years, we have never reached an average of 2 percentage points GDP growth, even though our population growth is about 1.5, which means in real terms, we're going backwards. At one stage, we're Africa's #1 economy in terms of GDP, bigger than Nigeria and Egypt. We lost it, we just regained it a few months ago, but we regained it with a GDP of $100 billion. That was the same in 2016. So in real terms, it means we have actually gone backwards because our disposable income and discretionary purchasing power buys us less today compared to the same period last year. So those are the things that we did exceptionally well.